Welcome to another episode of In the Nude. Today I want to talk about you're further than you think you are. This is actually inspired by a comment on a different podcast. I was talking about on the other podcast, stopping the cycle of self-abandonment, right? And the person commented something along the lines of, I don't even realize when I am self-abandoning. I have found myself in those same shoes before, not only in this particular topic, but in that feeling of so much defeat at all of the not that I felt like I am missing. Like there's so much healing or so much distance of the path I want to get to. This person is saying that because they feel like there's such a large gap. But the difference that they're wanting isn't actually that much further than where they are. Why? How? Because it can feel huge. It can feel like a friggin' Grand Canyon of difference. Well, how do you get from one place to another? Well, first, you have to see where you want to be. Right? And you have to see where you are. Without seeing where you want to go and seeing where you are, you cannot make it from A to B, right? There's no way to find a path or make a bridge or jot a plane or whatever. There's no way to traverse it if you don't know. You can meander a lot of ways, but you're not necessarily going to get where you want to go if you don't know where the want to go is. So if you know where you want to go, and then you're taking the time to look at where you are, all that's left is mapping the plot, right? Because so many people, and for so many years myself, I would see a thrive, a joy, a something like that, and I would want it, but I would miss the mark by not really caring enough. Like, you know how you want something, but you don't want it that bad? Like, you want a six-pack abs, but you're like, but I also want ice cream. I want to be fit, but I also don't want to go to the gym, right? Like you have wants, and they have to, in order for there to be action, it has to be a level of want, right? A lot of my life I wanted the joy, but not wanting it enough to do something, which is fair. If you're not in a place where you want it that much, how you get there is being okay with at least identifying that there's a desire and paying attention to it, right? I'll use me as an example in the literal thing I just mentioned. I am great with eating for health and eating balanced, right? Like not being an extremist. I allow myself a small cone of ice cream, but I also eat for fuel. I allow myself, the frilly happy, but I'm trying to be balanced because I'm trying to eat for what will make my future self feel better, right? And eating a giant bowl of ice cream might have my mouth happy, but later will not have my body happy, okay? I do great with that. But when it comes to the physical activity, I don't do great with that. I mentally identify as a physically fit person. I'm there mentally, but I don't want it enough to take actions. But the fact that I desire that, the fact that I think about it, the fact that those are baby steps, right? Baby steps towards the actual taking actions. And sure, I might take a walk, right? I might, and regularly take a walk, but I'm not doing the hard moving motion stuff, like the lifting and calisthenics that might help my body feel better. And yes, I am well aware of the benefits, and we'll get there, okay? This is not about me not understanding it. It's just me not wanting it enough with all the rest of life that takes up space, okay? But me wanting it, identifying that way, thinking about it, those are steps towards me actually getting to that goal, right? So this person is identifying what they want by possibly not with the terms. It doesn't say I want to be, but it could be that they want that, and then they're identifying where they are. I don't even see when I self-abandon. Okay? They're already, that's the two hardest things, right? Now it's just getting to a place of getting where they want it enough to take some steps. And if they're not there, or I'm not there with the physically fit thing, that's okay. There's no, we're all on this really weird, quacky journey, right? It's my path is not your path, and your path is not their path, and that's beautiful, fantastic, wonderful. It needs to be that way. There's a reason why there's 1,000 people talking about it in different books and have different mentalities and some of them have points that work for you, and some of them don't. And that's why people say take what works and throw out the rest, because that's how it has to function and work. We're too many different people with too many different backgrounds, two different personalities, and different things are going to hit home. Some people hear my content and they're like, ew, I don't like that. And that's great. That's fantastic. I'm not for you. There's other people who hear me and they're like, yes, fantastic, wonderful. Maybe I'm a niche person. The entire point of why I create this isn't because I need to become gigantic. It's because I wanted somebody just being real. I didn't want how to, because how to doesn't work. It's like this coined little, just fake it till you make it. Look, there's a tiny ounce of truth in it, but there's so much that isn't. And I wanted somebody to be like, you know what? Healing sucks. Okay? But if we rebrand it in this way, it can suck a little less. Or here's something that I found. Like, I wanted real and I didn't see it. So I was like, fork it all, I'll be that. Okay? That's how this was born. That's what the point of this is. I saw these gaps in my life and I just saw it as a giant chasm and I didn't see how close it is. It feels like it's a Grand Canyon, but to get to the other side can be an entire traverse down, over, and back up again. But sometimes it can literally be a quick walk across a bridge. It depends on what hits home for you, what works for you, and how you learn. I'm pretty bullheaded and I tend to take the longest path possible. I hope that's not true for you. As you can tell, I'm feeling a little bit with the energy in this and whatever. But you just are where you are, okay? And I'm just showing up as I am right now. This journey of getting from what you want to seeing where you are to getting the desire enough to do it, there's no shame in how long that's going to take. There's no failures in how long that's going to take. You can feel like a failure, but that doesn't make it actually a failure. The whole process is the point. It doesn't feel like it. It feels like the there is the point, right? I always go back to the hike, right? Okay, so you can have the viewpoint being like you're taking this hike to get the view, but then you're missing 90% of the actual time you're investing in the hike. You could be enjoying the entire process and the view. It could be both. And this journey can be the same. And sometimes it feels like, how can I? Because some parts of it are pretty dark and murky and sad. And we don't really like those feelings, right? Like, it's not super great to be all weepy and cry or angry or hurt but each part has beauty in it. And I don't mean that like washing away the pain. My life falling apart was not a beautiful process. But my life falling apart was what I needed for me to be willing to look and really see and be honest. Honest about the lies I was telling myself, honest about the life that I had been leading, honest about where I wanted to go, honest about what I was doing that didn't match up with it. That pain, I was the person who needed that level of my life shattering for me to be willing to make the adjustments to get towards what I actually wanted. And so I don't celebrate the pain, but if it took that to get here, I would do it over and over and over again. And the pain that I felt in that process allowed me to have such a wider scope of feeling. Sure, on the side that we don't necessarily like, but when we expand that, we also get the equal parallel on the other side. I have experienced way more joy in the course of this than I ever had before. The anxieties that I have felt over the course of it, I have also had more peace than I've ever had before. There's beauty in all the things we don't like because it expands our capability of having the encompassing spectrum of feeling. And for me, all of the things I don't really love, I can know when it's happening that I get to have the pendulum swing. I get to have, like, when you've done something so hard, it feels like you can't overcome, and then you overcome, the level of triumph that you feel, the level of just like, hear me roar that you feel at the end of it is so much more heightened by the level of difficulty it was. I don't feel like a master of anything when I win Yahtzee. It's a chance game, right? But when I have felt like I couldn't do something, and I'm trying and I'm failing and I'm trying and I'm failing, And then I get to the place where here's a silly example. I used to be terrified to get on camera. And I don't mean like a cutesy terrified. I mean like breaking out in hives. Like blotchy, itchy hives. And my entire face looked like this the entire time, like I was being stabbed, okay? Really, really uncomfortable. It took me forever. If you want to go back 1,000 videos and waste a whole bunch of time, you can see those videos, okay? Not necessarily on here. TikTok is where I started, so it would be there. But pain, horrible, hives, gross, uncomfortable, awkward videos where I forged through difficulty and failures over and over and over again to now it is not a big deal. It is chill. I can be me and it be like this camera, instead of it being a camera, is you talking to you. And it didn't happen with a video. It happened with thousands of failures. And when I finally got to the place where I could talk, like I was just talking to a human, just being a human to another human, the level of triumph I had so much pride in myself because it was so hard for so long. And that's what I'm talking about, where there's beauty in all of it when we allow there to be. So when you're sitting there and you're feeling like, I don't even know, there's paths, there's ways, there's tools to get to a place of seeing and identifying and moving forward. But that's not actually the difficulty. The difficulty is seeing where you are, seeing where you want to be, and wanting it enough to take the steps. This path, this journey isn't about succeeding. It isn't about failure, because it isn't a path that has one destination. It's a meandering, beautiful cacophony of opportunities, of self-exploration. It is the scientific method of finding you. It's literally throwing ish against the wall and seeing what works. And sometimes you might know yourself enough that you see exactly what it is, or you might happen into something that really works for you. You might intuit it. You might like just naturally be connected to your body, or you might not. But the entire journey is beautiful. It's a tribute. It's a way to, in your body, authentically and organically love yourself. It's a way to give you a gift. You want to go from not seeing that you are self-abdicating to being able to see it? I bet you already, by saying the line, I don't see when I'm self-abdicating, I bet you do retroactively. And if you do retroactively, you can look at those situations and you can be like, man, what in that situation caused me to disassociate, self-abandon? What were the things? Was it a person? Was it a feeling? Was it a circumstance? And you start seeing core pain points. You start seeing in those core pain points, you start seeing truths that aren't actually truth that you took into yourself. Things that other people said that you swallowed as true because you were told to. And it's totally fair that you do. You were trained and hardwired to do it. As kids, the things we want are safety and affection. In a world where safety and affection are in danger because we're being ourselves, authenticity goes on the chopping block and is obliterated. Because the most important things to a child are safety and affection. And if affection was linked to participation in particular ways and behavioral adjustments, we learn how to self-abdicate and show up in the ways that will gain us the things that were required in order for us to survive. You were trained to. It's completely natural that you self-abdicate. So you can look at it retroactively, and you could see the pain points, and you could see the things, and then from there, you can be like, okay, obviously this person is not a person I need to spend time around if I can help it. And to create more distance. Maybe you don't feel like you can cut them off completely, and so you create boundaries and barriers, or maybe for a time you pull back so you can feel safer in your body, so then you can come back and place boundaries or barriers. Or maybe you cut them off completely. I don't know what the right path is for you. Maybe it's a person. Maybe it's a feeling where you're getting triggered to past, where you're not even with that person anymore, but how they made you feel. How you felt like it was never good enough. How you had to make them happy. How somebody else's discomfort makes you feel like you're unsafe, like something is going to start slapping you around, or verbally or physically, right? You can start seeing the pain points. You can start seeing the truths where you learned my voice doesn't matter. That's a lie. It's a lie. Your voice matters. You matter. Your opinion matters. Your heart matters. Your feelings matter. You matter. You are worth energy, effort. You are worth space. You are worth opinions. You are worth defiance. You are worth discomfort. You are worth conflict. But we don't believe those things. So we have to learn the truths that we did accept, even though they aren't actually true. We made them truths within ourselves. We parsed ourselves away to make ourselves safe and to gain the affection we needed. But we have to debunk. We have to figure out what those things we believe about ourselves that aren't actually real. And part of that can be identifying retroactively. If you have a close friend, they can also help you because they can be like, hey, you can come a code word. You could be like snorkel. Snorkel's the word because it's a random word you wouldn't have in your daily life unless you live, like I said, in the Cayman Islands or like Caribbean or something like that. Also, congratulations to you because beautiful water. But anyway, like some random word that isn't used on a regular basis. And your friend can have it as a code word when they're around and they see you self-abdicating. They can be like, hey, snorkel, you're snorkeling. And it could trigger you paying attention in the moment and seeing it. It is identifying the things, the causes, the triggers that cause us to try to gain our safety. Because when we're self-abdicating, we're trying to gain safety. We're trying to gain affection. And seeing why. Debunking the truths. Even if you don't see it in the moment, you can do it retroactively. It's not the steps getting from I don't see myself self-abdicating to seeing, to self-advocating, to all the feelings and thrive you want to have. That's not a far gap. It can literally be tiny steps and then you're there. You're not that far. Most of us aren't that far. We feel like it's a giant gap. We feel like it's insurmountable. And it feels so defeating. And that's fair. But what we're looking for is a years and years of pain points and harms and triggers and to just go away. Like it's an instantaneous, we turn on the TV and then there's the cutesy family right there. If someone causes you harm, there's a saying that says if someone causes you harm, right? Or you cause someone harm, for the length of time that you did the behavior and caused the harm. Say you were mean and hurt somebody and you behaved that way for 2 years, right? Or someone did that to you for 2 years. Either way, whichever one vibes with you that you can connect with and hear the story. If it took 2 years of behavior to prove to that person that you're consistently or they're consistently that character, in order for them to say I'm sorry and think that there's any chance of being forgiven by that person, they need to double the length of time they were doing the behavior. If you did it for 2 years or they did it for 2 years, 4 years of showing in action that they are not that person anymore or you're not that person anymore. That is what is needed to get to the place where someone might be able to give a chance at thinking, okay, they have changed. They may choose to verbalize it otherwise, but to actually, for them to really embody and believe it, that's the length of time. And yet we look at all the years of our life, of all the abuses and all the coping mechanisms and all the ways we have protected ourselves to maintain our safety and affection from others, and we want to wipe it clean like it's a dry erase board. And not the things we have chiseled into our flesh and bone and blood and heart. You are not a dry erase board, no matter how much they wanted you to be. You chiseled and you broke apart, and it was a beautiful effort of survival. You're not that far from having the life you want to have, and the feelings you want to have, and the thrive you want to have, and the space you want to have, and the safety you're not that far. It isn't about failure. It isn't about defeat. It's about the process. It's about the willingness to see where you want to go and be able to stand in the mirror. One of my favorite quotes is, the ability to heal is directly proportional to the ability to stare in the mirror and not walk away from what you see. The first time I heard that, it hurt. Both in a physical sense, because I really don't like looking in the mirror. I do now, I'm okay now. But like at the beginning, I could not stare at myself in the mirror. I did not like it. I had a lot of body dysmorphia. But even more so, I didn't like my insides. I was a horrible inner bully because part of my coping mechanism was to attack myself to make sure that I was perfect enough, that other people wouldn't be able to attack. And that was a beautiful gift I gave myself for survival. Not so beautiful in application, but it was a beautiful gift at the time. But we have to be willing to look in the mirror. We have to be willing to look in the mirror. And if we look in that mirror and we have condescension, all we're doing is offering to ourselves what was offered to us. It's fair. It's natural. We're embodying how somebody else treated us. It's fair. But it doesn't help the process. When you look in the mirror and you come with compassion and you come with grace and you see what's there and you accept yourself and understand yourself, you don't have to like it all, but you accept, I did that to protect myself. I did that, and I loved myself enough to do that, to make myself safe. It is through that compassion, grace, and love that we can have the change. And then we continue to get the change, not by saying, I don't do it, it's way over there. But when we acknowledge the baby step, I'm not taking the actions right now to make myself a fit person. But I know I want it. And I just can't want it enough right now. But I am willing to acknowledge that it's a step in the right direction, that I even care. That I take the time to think about what a routine could look like. How could I actually feasibly put it in my life? I'm giving myself the brain capacity and time and energy to process those things, even if I can't physically motivate myself to actually take the action yet. That's a baby step. We're taught through other people's behavior to constantly look at what we're not doing. But when we look at what we're not doing, we don't gain movement. We gain defeat. We don't gain compassion and love. We gain shame and denigration. When we shift our focus from what we're not doing to what we are doing, to what we desire to do, we give ourselves tiny wins, tiny gains. If you're trying to take giant leaps every time, you'll get exhausted. But if you're just willing to go slow and take baby steps, you're going to get there. And probably not as exhausted. You're worth all of the energy and effort. The biggest part is seeing where you want to go and seeing where you are. And being willing to get messy, to figure out, do I want it enough? And when I want it enough? What works for me?